Welcome to the STEM Formula, a podcast from the residential campus of the Governor School for Science and Mathematics, located in beautiful Hartsville, South Carolina. In this podcast series, we enjoy a down-to-earth, straightforward discussion about advanced STEM education. Hi, I'm Michael.
And I'm Nicole.
So Nicole, who did you interview today?
Dr. Cara Roberts. She's a biology teacher here at the Governor School. She's really passionate about teaching and especially about environmental science.
Yes, I know Cara has quite a student following. Let's see what she had to say right after these messages.
GSSM is South Carolina's nationally recognized STEM high school for academically gifted students. Take your education to the next level. GSSM Residential and STEM Foundations are for grades 11 through 12. Summer research and international travel lead to earning the distinguished GSSM diploma. Accelerate is GSSM's engineering program for grades 10 through 12, taught virtually, in real time, at participating schools. Students can earn 50 dual enrollment credits. GSSM offers all these opportunities tuition-free. Let's talk.
Hi, Cara. Welcome to STEM Formula. Thanks for joining us today.
Hi, Nicole. Thanks for having me.
Can you start out by describing your background and telling us how you got to GSSM?
Absolutely. My PhD program was in technically plant biology, but I feel like that's a little misleading. I'm more on the ecology side of plant biology, the larger scale. And I did a lot of work that intersected with environmental science as well. And I came straight from that program to GSSM, where I started doing some outreach work and then moved into a teaching position.
Awesome, that's great. And so environmental science is one of the big classes that you teach, right?
Absolutely, and big is the right word. It has grown from one section to 3 sections in the past few years, so it is becoming quite a big class for me. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive. Can you talk about your approach to teaching that class and how you maybe approach that a little differently than a traditional biology class?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's also an AP class similar to our bio class that we offer, which means there's a lot of content. It's a really expansive curriculum, but definitely I teach this course pretty differently than I would teach AP biology. Both because it covers so many different topic areas, like we're getting into biology, we're also touching on chemistry and physics, and social science and law and policy. So it's got a lot of breadth to it in what we talk about. And students have a lot of interest and often a lot of concern when it comes to learning about environmental science. So one of the things that I emphasize a lot in the class from the very first day is kind of the importance of recognizing and acknowledging that we aren't in a good position with respect to the environment. Kind of give them a spoiler alert on the first day, like, listen, the situation, it's not great. And there is still so much that's important for us to learn about and to use to guide us in our decision making that has a big impact. So yes, we've passed some thresholds. I know you've heard about it on the news, right? And we still have a really important role to play. So learning this science is really important. And so kind of balancing those two things. And I think another important thing to emphasize in this course is everything has environmental trade-offs. There's no one thing that's like, this is the solution, this is gonna do it. And there's no one thing that's universally horrible, right? Everything has its ups and downs. Now, some things certainly more harmful than good on the whole, but I think learning about the dimensions of things is super important in a science like this.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure students are kind of maybe come into the class thinking like, oh, this is the one thing. Like if we were just doing this, that would fix everything. So that's good having that. Yeah,
balance. You know, they read an article online and they're excited about it and they're like, this is the future. That's one part of the future, yes. And we've got to learn about, all of the dimensions of it.
That's awesome. Are there any particular like labs or demos or things that you do with that class that you really especially enjoy? Yeah,
I love the labs in this class, and I've gotten some pretty good feedback from the students about it too, because I think we take a pretty different approach than most labs, certainly labs I do in other classes. So we get outside of the classroom a lot, which is really important. I mean, it's environmental science. And some students are surprised that we spend as much time outdoors as we do, but I'm like, Yeah, this is part of the learning experience for this class. We've got to actually go into the environment, see these things in process. So we do some of that locally, like local species counts and water sampling and soil sampling. We do Kalmia gardens, our local botanical gardens, where we do it like an ecosystem scavenger hunt. We also go to Sand Hills Wildlife Refuge, it's about 30 minutes north of here, and they learn about conservation. And yeah, those are some of the more like kind of getting out and doing science in the environment, but we also have field trips that are just educational. And we get to like the energy unit, and we have a nuclear facility here in town, so I'm not really interested in standing up in front of them and just teaching them about nuclear energy when we have these experts who are doing this work and can actually teach it to the students and answer some of their like really interesting questions. And we're really lucky to have a great partnership with Duke Energy, who owns and operates that facility. So that's a great field trip. And also we partnered with Sonoco as well, one of our other community partners, to learn about their recycling process and how they make all of their amazing paper goods. So.
That's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about that scavenger hunt that y'all do?
Oh my gosh, yes, this is my favorite lab. So we learn about biomes and ecosystems and the different things that define them. And when we're at Kalmia Gardens, it's a really diverse location, because it's got bodies of water and it's got kind of more forested areas, some managed and unmanaged land, and it's on a huge slope, which gives it kind of more dynamic than most of the land here around Hartsville. So they set off to identify different biomes and ecosystems that can be found in Kalmia Gardens, and I used to have them write a report, but these days I have them make me a mini documentary. And Nicole, this is easily the most joy I've ever had grading any assignment. Grading is usually not my favorite part of teaching, but this assignment, I mean, they get so creative, it's so fun.
And around here, we have lots of different things that you're doing with your students in Hartsville, but this is great that no matter where a teacher or a group of students is, they're going to have things that are in their local community that they can go out and do, right? Like,
yeah. And we did this during COVID, right? I had them do this same activity in their hometown.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really great. And you're teaching a research class right now too, right?
Yeah, so capitalizing on like getting students out of the classroom, I had this idea for a very hands-on course in restoration ecology. So this is my first semester doing it, and we've already got a full class for next year. But the basic idea of this course is to learn about restoration ecology minimally in the classroom and more so doing the actual hands-on work of it. So we're partnering with Kalmia Gardens for this class, and they have given us an area that they're concerned about with the biodiversity declining. And so we're doing work there to identify some of the causes, to measure the baseline biodiversity of the system before we get started on any sort of action plan. But yeah, we spend 3 hours a week at Kalmia Gardens doing this work hands-on in the field, and we have 2 hours outside of that in the classroom. And usually, probably once every other week, we have a guest speaker that comes in to the classroom to teach them what this work looks like in the real world in different aspects. So all sorts of people involved in restoration and conservation that are telling the students about what their work looks like, who they work for, how they got there. So kind of taking this like science from the classroom into the real world in multiple dimensions.
That's really awesome. It sounds like you're doing lots of great things with the students.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot of fun. I really was jazzed at the idea that I could be outside for a big chunk of my work week and it would be educational. So
exactly. The students are learning a lot and you're getting them out of the building, which is awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
Cara, do you have any last advice for people teaching environmental science or biology as a whole?
I think two things. One, you got to keep some degree of lightness to it. There's a lot of bad news that I have to deliver in environmental science, and I think having a sense of humor about it, you know, being realistic, but also kind of bringing a bit of a lightness to it is really helpful for me as the teacher, but also in the classroom, kind of keeping people's spirits up a little bit. And then just getting them outside, right? Getting them to see these things in the real world, and not just getting outside for the field trips, but the reason I have so many guest speakers in restoration ecology is because I saw how the students responded when they got to talk to professionals in the field. They really want to know about career opportunities. They really want to know about a day in your life when you do this kind of work. So I think getting them engaged in that way beyond just a curriculum is super important.
That's awesome. And those guest speakers, are you doing those via Zoom mostly so that you don't have to bring people here?
Yeah. Yeah, we will probably have one or two that come because they live locally enough. But yeah, mostly over Zoom.
Okay.
It's one benefit of the pandemic, right?
Yes, that's for sure. Yeah, we can talk to people from all over.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for joining us today, Cara.
Thanks for having me. It was a lot of fun.
So Nicole, what was the greatest takeaway from that interview?
Cara really thinks about the emotional content of the classes that she's teaching, and that's something I had never thought about, especially in relationship to environmental science.
Yeah, at the Governor School, we're fortunate to have so many great teachers, and they will continue giving us advice on this podcast. Remember, until next time,
Keep learning and growing. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.